Alright YouTubers, what's going on? Got another knife to show you today. It's going to be kind of a first impressions video. Couldn't call it really a review, haven't had it that long, but just want to get my first impressions on this nifty Spyderco knife. This is how it came to me. No box, in a zipper pouch, which is cool. And you can see here is the Rubicon PLN. I believe that's what that says. Not sure what that means. But let's look at this beautiful knife. Here she is. This is the import knife of the year for Blade for 2014. For good reason. It's an exceptional, it's a really cool little knife. It is a collaboration with Spyderco and Peter Carey. You can see that right there on the blade. Carey. Taichung, made one of the Taichung factory, which is where all their premium Spyderco knives are coming from anymore, so no surprise there. And they produce really good knives out of there, so I'm not worried about that aspect of it. So let's talk a little bit about this little chubby guy. And I call it that because it's thick. Look how thick that is. Let's do a little measurement, just kind of give you an idea how thick it is. We're going to get to stand up on the blade, and we're not. That's okay. So it's just about just a little over a ½ inch thick in the handle. So that's a pretty thick slab of knife there. I mean, it's pretty chubby, like I said. It doesn't weigh a ton. It's still pretty lightweight. Let me go ahead and bring in the scale here. I think it's right around 4 ounces, a little over 4 ounces, 4.2 ounces. So it's a good EDC weight. But I will say it carries a little thick, and like I said, it's knocking stuff over. It's just a thick knife. It's wide. That aside, it is still gorgeous. It is a good size. It comes in right around 3 inches on the blade, and I think the handle is about 4.4 inches, maybe 4.3. So you can see our medium-sized hands. You got plenty of purchase, not much hanging off, so it's not too big. So I do like the size of the knife as far as the length is concerned. I just think it's a little chubby, like I mentioned. The backspacer is awesome, and we'll get to that here in a minute when we talk more about the design elements of the knife. But so you saw how wide it is. Like I said, it's about 4.4 inches long, and your overall length is going to be right around 7.5 inches, just short of 7.5 inches. So it's a good little stout little blade, and you can see you got a lot of blade there. For being a 3-inch blade, it's a very wide blade, which kind of goes along with the design of the knife. About 1.25 inches wide. S30V steel. That is one of my knocks on the knife. Now I like S30V steel, but for the price point of this knife, I would expect something more like M390. M4, CPM 154, something better like that. Something a little bit better than S30V. It's a good steel, but you can buy a lot of knives with S30V steel for under $100. Street price on this is typically anywhere from $275 to $300. Some even more I've seen sell for. So it's an expensive Spyderco. I mean, it's an expense, and I don't feel that it uses that premium of materials to merit the price. And I'll kind of get into that as well. I do applaud them for using real carbon fiber for the first time. Typically they use a carbon fiber over a G10 laminate, like in the Gale Bradley, the Southern, or excuse me, the Domino, quite a few other models. And it's not real carbon fiber. This is actually 3D machined real carbon fiber. It's gorgeous. It is absolutely beautiful. It's got a high polish to it. It looks like something that would come on a custom knife. ZT does a lot of this 3D machine carbon fiber on their higher end knives. So it's nice to see Spyderco stepping up their game. Well, let's look at the carbon fiber that comes on the Sebenza. So you can see this has got it's got a higher polish to it. They're both real carbon fiber. It's just it's really pretty. It's nice. The thing I really like about the knife is the design elements of it, with the custom pivot, with the orange G10 around the pivot. That's a really nice touch. The matching orange backspacer. The backspacer is really attractive, but it's very sharp. It's got some sharp points and edges, so it gets in your hand for traction and such. But when you're taking it, when you have it in your knife and you're putting your hand in your knife to, let's see, say grab other things in your pocket, it tends to kind of jab you a little bit, so it's a little uncomfortable. And because the knife is so wide to carry, that's another thing that, you know, you will jab yourself quite a bit on that. So these are just some impressions. There is a few negatives to this knife, but there's a lot of positives too. Just looking at it aesthetically, it's beautiful. It looks like a custom knife. I mean, it's got some nice custom touches with the pivot, you know, with the back spacer, with the 3D machine carbon fiber. You got a titanium pocket clip, which flows really nicely with the lines of the knife, and it's not too stiff. It goes in your pocket pretty easy. It's definitely not deep carry. I mean, you're gonna have probably that much of your knife showing, which again is pointy and can get you a little bit. So I just kind of noticed that from carrying it today. So it's a really it's, you know, for good reason in the imported knife of the year. It's got a very smooth flipper. You can do it like a flashlight, or not a flashlight, a light switch, or you can, you know, put pressure and build it up and fire it out. It's very smooth. It's on their bearings, similar to the Southern and the Domino. I actually think this is the best flipper they put out to date, personally. Spyderco wasn't big into flippers for a long time. You can also open the knife with the thumb hole, your traditional Spidey way. I don't know if I can yep, you can middle finger flick it too. So you have a few opening methods, so that's a really cool part of the knife as well. Aesthetically, it's just a very good looking knife. It's just pretty, just really nice. But do those things outweigh, you know, the chubbiness of the knife, the sharp edges, the lack of the deep carry, and the price point? I don't know. For me, I'm not so sure yet, so we'll see. Time will tell. One thing that a lot of users have been saying, a few of these reviews I've seen, and is that the lock, there is no cutout for the lock bar. It is a liner lock, as you can see here, and titanium liners, which is nice, and they are milled out. Let's see if I can get a shot there. You can see there, they are milled out, so that saves some weight. That's a nice touch as well. They were saying that it's hard to disengage, that their thumb was very sore, they were wearing down their fingernail. I do see that as an issue, that it's not milled out right there for a relief cut. But mine has no stick. It's very smooth, and it has no stick on the lock. So I haven't really noticed that yet. But I could see that being an issue. That's an issue on the Gale Bradley. And a lot of people have custom, you know, cut out a lock bar. You could take a Dremel. I would hate to do it. I would not do it to this knife. It's just too pretty. But you cut that a little bit, so you have a little bit more room to actually disengage that lock. So it is not ambidextrous as far as carry is concerned. This is set up for right hand tip up only carry, which for me is perfect, but for you lefties, you have no option to swap the clips. That is a negative in my opinion. You can't open it both ways, left hand and right handed, as flippers are ambidextrous that way. You just wouldn't be able to carry it with the clip on the right side, or you could just do without a pocket clip. But I wouldn't do that because you have a big chunky knife in your pocket. So comparison wise, I can't help but compare this knife to my Sebenza, small Sebenza carbon fiber, around the same size. Actually, the Spyderco is a good bit longer in the handle, as you can see there, minus the lanyard there. It's also, like I said, quite a bit thicker. I mean, look at the difference. You have a solid slab of titanium on this side with the carbon fiber on that side, and it is substantially thicker, like 1.5 times thicker. So the Sebenza definitely carries nicer. And then overall size with the blade is about the same. They're both right around a 3-inch blade, so you're not losing any blade length with the Sebenza. So just a comparison. Again, really high-end production knife, and the Sebenza, same here though. This is a high-end production knife in the Spyderco, and I don't know. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful knife to look at. It's aesthetically pleasing. It's got great ergonomics. You've got some nice jimping up here on the top. So it's very comfortable to put in your hand, to use, to cut with. But the fat blades profile, the chubby handles, the sharp edges are some things that I'm kind of knocking the knife for. Time will tell. We'll see. I'm on the fence on this one, if I'm going to keep it or not. It's beautiful aesthetically to look at. I just think I've been so spoiled by my Sebenza that when I want to carry a locking folder, you know, one-handed opener, locking folder, like instead of a slip joint, I'm going to choose this all day long. It may not be a fair comparison for the Spyderco. You are talking another $100, but for this particular, now even if you just compare to standard small Sebenza, you'd only be spending a little bit more money, especially if you're buying on the used market, and you're going to get, in my opinion, a better knife. So I will knock the Spyderco for the price point. It's very expensive for what you get. There's other offerings in this range that are flippers on bearings that use carbon fiber, that use better steels, like the ZT's 562 carbon fiber. That's got M390 steel. It's going to cost you a good $50 less, typically, for that knife. It is a little bit bigger knife, but it doesn't feel bigger because it's just how, like I said, how wide this knife is. The 562 is quite a bit slimmer, and that goes a long way for me to carry a knife. How slim the knife is, and like, you know, I've been carrying this small Sebenza, which is very slim, or I carry, you know, like this slip joint, this Tony Bowes Lanny's clip, and it's, you know, about the same thickness as the Sebenza, or even this Washington, or this Wall Street by GEC. It's very slim in the pocket, I mean, even slimmer than the Sebenza. So I guess I've been a little spoiled by these thinner, slimmer knives. But if that kind of stuff doesn't bother you, definitely a well-made, well put together, very nice fit and finish on this knife. You know, I did see here one reviewer kind of refer to it as mid-tech quality, which I would agree with that, having known some mid-techs. So you're basically getting a mid-tech knife from Spyderco, but again, it's also a production knife made in Taiwan, not in the US, and it doesn't really use premium materials. I mean, the carbon fiber is beautiful, and that's a nice material, but it's nothing new. A lot of companies use 3D machine carbon fiber. The steel S30V is a pretty standard, not even really considered a super steel anymore, so that's kind of a downer. So I'm not saying I don't like the knife. I don't think it's a good value at all, though. I think it's too expensive for what you get, and it's a little thick. So this one I'm on the fence on, guys. It's a beautiful knife to look at, but as far as usability, EDC, you know, I'm going to choose that small Sebenza every time, or I'm going to choose one of those. So hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it didn't come across negative, because it's a really beautiful offering from Spyderco, and it's something nice and refreshing from them. It's a different design that I actually like. A lot of Spyderco's designs this year I haven't been really fond of, so I do like it. Kind of wishing I went with the Slice Bowie, which is another new Spyderco. It's a titanium frame lock. It's round, it's the same size, it's less expensive, full titanium frame lock. I may try that next, so we'll see. But alright guys, if you have any questions or comments on the Spyderco Rubicon, please leave them down below, and we'll see you next time.